Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. If you don't know me, my name is Shelly and I'm the owner and creator of the Vintage Hen and Chick. And in today's video, I have 3 projects for you. All of them are very easy, very beginner friendly, and don't require a lot of supplies. So if that's something that you're interested in, stick around. Now let's get started. For project 1, I have this cute little stool. I picked this up at a garage sale. I think I only paid $1 for it. Anytime I see small stools like this, I pick them up because they're super fun to make over and they're really easy. And so I'm going to be painting this stool with Sweet Pickins milk paint in the color denim. Now, if you are brand new to milk paint, it comes in a powder form and you just mix it equal amounts of milk paint to warm water. I always stir mine up for about 2 minutes because I want to make sure that I get all the lumps and clumps mixed in good with that water. And then I always set mine aside for about 10 minutes to thicken up. So now I'm just taking a French tip brush to apply the milk paint to my little stool. I am going to do 2 coats. I'm going to let it dry completely in between each coat. The thing with milk paint is it is a little temperamental. You never really know what your outcome is going to be. A lot of times I really want to go for that chippy vintage look, but like I said, you never really know. And so if you want, you can take a blow dryer or a heat gun and you can dry your project with that, and that will encourage more chipping or more crackling with your milk paint, but it's totally up to you. For this particular little stool, I'm not going to use a heat gun or a blow dryer. I'm just going to let it dry naturally and see what happens. I've done 2 coats of paint of the milk paint, and I did let it dry completely in between each coat. And now I'm just going to take a piece of 220 grit sandpaper and I'm going to sand the entire stool. And when you sand it, this is going to determine if you're going to get any chipping or cracking with your milk paint. On this particular project, I didn't get a whole lot, but I still want to distress all the edges of the stool. I really like the contrast of the color of the milk paint and then the orangey color stain that the stool originally was. I think navy blue and orange contrast really nicely and look good together. So I'm just going to go around the entire stool, sand it smooth, and distress it at the same time. So I am all done sanding and distressing my stool, and now it's time to seal this project in. And I'm going to be using the Sweet Pickins Black Beeswax, and I'm just taking a wax brush and applying the wax on the stool and then taking a shop towel and buffing back the excess wax. And what I noticed with this black wax and the denim milk paint is it creates a beautiful kind of midnight blue color when the wax is applied, and I really like how that's turning out. So I'm going to continue just to apply the wax all over the entire stool and then take my dry shop cloth and buff back the excess wax until I get it completely looking the way I want it to. And here is how the stool looks all completed. I really love how it turned out, and it was simple, easy, very beginner friendly, and it only took 3 products for the whole project. Just some milk paint, some wax, and my $1 stool that I got at a garage sale. Let me know what you think in the comments below. For project number 2, I'm going to be making a piece of wall art, or it could be a shelf sitter, whatever you want. I picked up a bunch of these little wooden plaques at a garage sale this summer for very inexpensive. And I'm going to be painting this with 2 coats of Dixie Belle's Vintage Duck Egg, which is a chalk paint. I'm going to be painting the top and the sides of this piece of wood. Now, these little pieces of wood frames, you can get them anywhere. You can probably get them at Dollar Tree. I know you can get them at places like Hobby Lobby or Michael's. I happened to pick up a whole bunch at a garage sale this summer for a really good price, or you could even use a piece of scrap wood in your garage. And so I'm going to do the 2 coats of the chalk paint and then let that dry completely, and then we'll move on to the next step. So now that my paint has completely dried, I am going to stamp on my project, and I'm going to be using the IOD Vintage Texture Stamp. The one I chose for today's project is the Crackle Stamp, and I'm going to be using black ink. And so I'm just inking up my stamp, and then I'm just going to kind of randomly stamp it all over my piece of wood. No rhyme or reason, no particular pattern, just kind of randomly. I just want to create a little bit of dimension. I am going to be putting a transfer on this project, and so I like to stamp first whenever I'm applying a transfer. So once I get my piece all stamped up the way I like, then I'm going to take a baby wipe and clean off my stamp. You always want to clean off your stamps right away after you use them, so that way that ink doesn't stay on there. My ink has dried, and now I'm going to be applying a transfer to my project, and I chose a transfer from the IOD Clementine transfer set. This did come out with the holiday release, but this transfer set doesn't necessarily have to be holiday. This is an image. This transfer here could be used during the holidays. It could be used during the wintertime. It could be used all year long. So I'm just peeling off the back of my transfer, and I'm placing it exactly where I want it on my board. And then I'm going to take my transfer tool and rub over the transfer. And then once I have that done, I'm going to start on one side of the transfer and slowly start to peel the transfer up as I continue to rub with my transfer tool. Once I get my transfer completely applied to my project, then I'm just going to take that transfer vellum and rub it over the transfer to burnish it in, just to make sure that there's no bubbles or wrinkles in my transfer and that everything is stuck down nicely. Now that I have my transfer applied, my paint and transfer need to be sealed in, and so I'm going to be sealing it in with my flat clear coat by Dixie Belle, and I'm just going to give it a nice even coat over the entire piece, the front and the sides, to seal everything in, and then let that dry completely, and then this project will be complete. I really like how this turned out. It's so cute, and you could style it in so many different ways. You could hang it on your wall as a piece of wall art. You could put it on a stack of vintage books next to a white pitcher with some dried florals in it. The possibilities are endless. Let me know in the comments what you think. Project number 3 are these 2 vintage brushes that I have hanging on my kitchen wall in a vignette. And I was walking by them one day and I thought, I really want to dress those up a little bit. And so I'm going to be applying some transfers from the IOD Lost Garden transfer set to both of these brushes. And I just cut out a piece of transfer that fit on the brushes and designs that I liked. And I'm just going to lay the transfer down and use my transfer tool and rub it over the transfer, just like I would do for any other project. Once I get that transfer rubbed on, then I'm going to start peeling back, working from one side to the other. And then as soon as I get the transfer completely applied to these brush handles, then I'm going to burnish them in. So now all that's left to do is to seal the transfers in, and I'm going to seal them in with some flat coat from Dixie Belle, and I'm just going to apply a nice even coat over the front and the back of each of the brushes and then let them dry completely. Stick around to the end of the video and then you will see how I have these brushes styled in my home. These vintage brushes turned out so cute and they were so super easy. All I did was took a couple of brushes that I currently had in my home and put some transfers on them to dress them up. Let me know in the comments below what you think and if this is something that you would try. I hope that you've enjoyed the makeovers in today's video. Be sure to leave me a comment and let me know which one was your favorite. All the products that I used in these projects today are available on my website at thevintagehenandchick.com. Thank you so much for watching. Give me a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe. I'm here every single week with a new video, so I'll see you again next week.